Good morning, Peter Goertz. I'm a psychiatrist. Is losing our temper dangerous? It seems that life gives us opportunities to live and learn or live and not learn. It can really hit us over the head. And if we learn, we learn. If not, we get hit over the head again, it seems. So from what I'm seeing, losing our temper can be potentially dangerous. And anger itself can be a very good thing. One can be angry and still centered at the same time. But if we're losing our temper, not centered, not in the present moment, running around like a chicken with our head cut off, that can lead to difficult outcomes. One example I heard about recently is a patient, and this is a little incident of road rage, not primarily starting with the patient, but then the patient did engage in that somewhat, and he got hurt in that, and he had an accident then, motor vehicle accident, and he did get hurt. So if we can avoid getting caught up in rage, losing our temper, that can be helpful. Myself, I had an incident around Mardi Gras, and in New Orleans there are a lot of parades for Mardi Gras, and my wife and I were standing at a parade route. The parade was going on, it was packed with people, and my wife didn't want to stand there anymore, and I wanted to stay. And my wife left, so we had a little bit of conflict there. And then where my wife had been standing, people just pushed in right next to me, and I was annoyed. I felt they were impinging on my space. And so ultimately I got so annoyed, I just walked and basically somewhat pushed my way through them, but then I tripped. And there was a box, and I tripped, hit my shins on the box, and hurt my shins pretty bad. I think I could have fractured both legs if I'd not been lucky. And my shins were still hurt pretty badly. So that took a long time to heal and still is healing. So it's been 4 months now. And that certainly has given me, or has been food for thought for me about my own anger, my own rage, road rage, for instance, also. So that incident for me around Mardi Gras was kind of like road rage, just letting myself be triggered by other people's actions. And they were crowding in. I'm not saying they did a very nice thing, but the way I reacted definitely was not productive for me. Another example from many years ago, an older psychiatrist in the hospital where I used to work, it was an inpatient ward, said he'd only been hit twice. He said, "Peter, only twice, and it only happened when I lost my own temper." So interactions with people can go back and forth, and people can react to your own reaction, of course. And so that's what the other psychiatrist was trying to tell me. He only got hit when he lost his temper and then the other person reacted. Another example out of my own life was caffeine can make me annoyed, irritable. And on that day, many years ago, I'd had a lot of caffeine. And I noticed already when someone delivered food to my apartment, I was annoyed at them. I was just irritable. And on that day, I got irritated with the woman I was seeing at the time, and that was actually the end of our relationship. So it definitely losing our temper can have consequences. So we're talking about intense negative emotions, anger, for example, leading to possible poor judgment and possibly even dangerous actions. One extreme example I heard about recently was someone who got very upset, killed their child and then themselves. So that's an extreme example of things that can happen if someone really loses control of their anger. Another example you may have seen if you're a soccer fan years ago, the World Cup final 2006, France against Italy. Zidane lost his temper and headbutted an Italian player and was sent off. And that may have had something to do with France losing that World Cup final. Apparently, the Italian player said something about Zidane's sister, and he lost his temper and headbutted the Italian player. And that actually can be a tactic. I think, for instance, maybe in the NBA, what they call trash talking, to make someone else lose their temper and then not be able to play as well. So that actually possibly can be used as a tactic by players. So what can happen then if we lose our temper is our ego runs wild, we're not centered. Instead of that, we want to try and be centered, and feeling our body, getting out of our head into our body can help us be centered. And now when I'm on my way to work or back from work, and things that happened that could have triggered me in the past, I think of my legs, what happened to me, and I realize, uh-oh, we don't want to go there. And my commute has been a lot more pleasant. I have not lost my temper in the car like I used to. Psychotherapy can help us address our underlying issues, whatever they may be. Someone may have been physically abused as a child, neglected as a child, and that type of thing can potentially create fertile ground for anger that's not been processed and that can rear its head, and that can be in certain situations, and we can lose our temper. So we want to try our best to be in the present moment and feeling our body, getting out of our head, being, so to speak, in our body can help us with that. If we're not in the present moment, there seems to be more potential for adverse experiences. Thank you.